Well, Umkhonto weSizwe Military Veterans MKMVA spokesperson Carl Niehaus has opened a case of defamation against ANC NEC member and Minister of Transport Fikile Mbalula, suing him for 8 million rand. This comes after comments made by Mbalula on Twitter early this year where he labelled Niehaus as a thug, amongst other things. He then took to the courts, opening a case against Mbalula. For more on this, we are now joined by Carl Niehaus himself. A very good afternoon to you, sir. Welcome to the show.
Good afternoon.
As a start, before we talk about the merits of your case, Mr. Niehaus, against Minister Fikile Mbalula, has there been any sort of engagement from him? I mean, the two of you are what we can call comrades. Have the two of you not had any sort of opportunity, perhaps, to meet up and maybe iron out some of these issues before, we head to the courts?
I can't hear you very well, but I'm trying to answer your question. I think I understand it.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, between comrades, there should be engagement. But in the instance of the approach by Comrade Fikile Mbalula, it has been a very aggressive one. It has been one where he was evidently not prepared to engage, and where not only attacked myself, but also the president of Umkhonto weSizwe Military Veterans Association, and also in subsequent tweets had attacked Minister Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma and also Minister Lindiwe Sisulu. So it seems that Minister Fikile Mbalula thinks that he has impunity to act and to assault people on social media, and that there will never be any consequence. I've decided, after many attacks from Minister Mbalula, which had always been initiated by him, that this has gone far enough, and I've decided that it is now time to take legal action. I started this legal process in January of this year, but unfortunately, for some reasons unbeknown to me, or it's difficult to understand, Minister Mbalula was unavailable to receive the memorandum that states the reasons for this defamation case from the sheriff of the court. And It took a long time, since January until recently, a few days ago, for this document to be delivered by the sheriff of the court to him.
Mr. Niehaus, what do you believe triggered this barrage of tweets about you? I mean, you talk about the fact that this has been ongoing. I mean, I know I've seen one naming you a thug. I saw one naming you a suspected criminal. Why would the minister say all these things about you just haphazardly out of nowhere, out of nothing?
Well, it's not for me to explain why the minister says these things about myself and about other people. You will also remember that he also attacked the Secretary General of the African National Congress, Comrade Ace Magashule, several times. That is exactly why we are now taking this matter to court, why I'm taking it to court. And the minister will have to explain his reasons for conducting himself in this entirely unacceptable way to the court. You will also recall that Minister Dlamini Zuma has been extremely upset about what Minister Mbalula did, about the manner in which he attacked her on Twitter. And she said that she cannot even find it in herself to accept an apology from him. Yeah. So we have a long history of wrongdoing with regards to attacking of fellow comrades on social media from the minister. And as I've said earlier in this interview, I believe the time had come now to take the necessary action and to show the minister that he cannot act without any consequence and with impunity, that there has to be consequences for this kind of behavior.
And do you have a history that you're willing to maybe share with us, possibly, of maybe any bad blood or bad relations in the past? And I think that's where I was going with, you know, where this sort of all came from. I can't see myself going on Twitter and speaking ill of my colleagues here at SABC. I mean, there must have been something brewing at the bottom of all of that. And I'm wondering if you're able to maybe talk to us. Maybe there's a backstory that you can tell us about, because this really does seem quite bizarre to me that two comrades would hate each other to this extent, or maybe he hates you, I don't know.
I don't hate Minister Mbalula, and I'm also surprised by his behavior. I don't know if it's got something to do with a guilt complex on his side. He was very supportive of the particular campaign for Minister Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma during the campaign that there was in 2017 for the presidency. After all of that had been settled, Minister Mbalula suddenly seemed to find some perverse pleasure in turning on those comrades who have been supporting Minister Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma. As I indicated to you, he also even made a direct attack on social media on her. Now, that is unacceptable, because 2017 has come and gone, that election campaign has come and gone, and now we have to try and work together as comrades. I don't know if Minister Mbalula was trying to prove himself in any particular way to President Ramaphosa or to anyone else in order to get certain positions. I can only speculate about that. All I can say is that I found his very personal attacks on me and on other comrades in the African National Congress in very bad taste, and as a divisive approach to trying to bring unity in the African National Congress. We in Umkhonto weSizwe Military Veterans Association have consistently said that we want to work for unity in the ANC. We've expressed our concerns about certain issues that needs to be addressed, but always within the context of unity. Yet Minister Mbalula always comes with this divisive, aggressive, and abusive approach on social media. He seems to find some perverse pleasure in doing so, which is really sad. And I think it is time for us to now put our collective foot, including mine, down as the African National Congress, and to say enough is enough. This has to come to an end.
Yeah, and just as we sort of wrap up our conversation here, Mr. Niehaus, you've said that you've suffered a reputational damage. Well, this is according to an article on this particular story. And I'd like to ask, in what sense do you believe that you've suffered reputational damage? I mean, what I mean is, what then happened as a result of those tweets? And do you believe that you know, many people, many South Africans kind of took those tweets to heart, took them seriously?
Well, obviously, Minister Mbalula is a senior member of the African National Congress. He has got the status of a minister. For him to call me a thug, for him to make jokes about the president of Umkhonto weSizwe, Comrade Kebi Mapatsu, having lost his one arm, and many other things, is in bad taste and is insulting to us, and leads to me, as far as I'm concerned, to personal reputational damage. And this cannot be allowed to continue. You see, we cannot have a situation where someone just simply says whatever comes into his head, abuses people instead of engaging with them in a reasonable fashion, and then thinks that once he has dished out the abuse, those people must just accept what he had said, and that the society is not going to take seriously what he had said. I have experienced negative responses from people on social media and in general in South Africa because of the statements that Minister Mbalula made. And obviously, it is important for me, as it would be for any South African who's concerned about his or her good name, to address those issues, to take the minister to task, and to make sure that my own reputation remains intact.
Yeah, you and your legal team have put down a figure of 8 million rand due to what you, of course, are perceiving as reputational damage. How did you get to that figure? How was it quantified in terms of reaching that figure of saying this is the damage to my person?
As I've indicated to you, Minister Mbalula had made some very serious statements that I'm a thug, that I'm corrupt, all kinds of things. He said so in a context where I've never been charged with corruption, where I've never been charged with fraud, not even to speak about the situation where a court had to consider such charges. I emphasize, I've never been charged. So these are very serious reputational damage for someone like myself, who is a public figure, who holds public office in Umkhonto we Sizwe Military Veterans Association, and on a political level is a well-known person in South Africa. So this damage is severe. And that is on that basis that that figure has been arrived at. I am a person who had been involved in politics in the African National Congress for the last 42 years. I've dedicated my life to the liberation struggle. I've spent close to 10 years in prison as a member of the African National Congress and as a member of Umkhonto we Sizwe when I joined many years ago at the age of 19. So that is my reputation. That is my history. And for the minister to try and trash that history, to question my position within Umkhonto we Sizwe and also within Umkhonto we Sizwe Military Veterans Association, to question my position as a veteran in the African National Congress, to try and trash me, is actually to attack my whole life, my political commitment, and everything that I've stood for over my whole adult life. Yeah. In fact, I would say that the amount of 8 million rands is very conservatively calculated if you take into consideration how the minister has been attacking me in person and my whole history and life in the tweets that he sent out.
All right, Mr. Niehaus, thanks again for agreeing to come and talk to us. We are going to, of course, keep the door open to the minister for his right to reply. And I say that in front of you so that you are aware, of course, that and a call to the minister if he does indeed want to respond. But thank you for your time, Mr. Niehaus. All right, that is...
Yes, and ultimately, although the minister may reply, this matter will be dealt with in court.
All right. Niehaus, Umkhonto we Sizwe Military Veterans Association spokesperson. And as I've said, we do, of course, give the minister a right to reply. He certainly can do so. I'm here, I'm available.